Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale
Miki link పంపించాను అందరికి
Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine
ప్లస్ చైతన్య ప్రభు
Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Nishatarine
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी
Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shunyavadi. Without speeding up, people without speeding up. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari
Svayam Bhagavan Keshava Maharaj.
Rama
Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. No food?
Oh, no, sorry. I'm very sorry.
You should be. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Rama
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Is that okay? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Speak up. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. There we go. Thank you and welcome for coming today. How was the traffic like today? It was the longest day. Bad. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Construction.
Construction, I see. You came by 76? No. Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you for coming today. A little bit about Maharaj. I think all of us pretty much have heard at least one class by Maharaj, but nonetheless I'd like to introduce him. SB, by the way, stands for Svayam Bhagavan Keshava Swami. Is a spiritual author, community mentor, dynamic teacher, and worldwide traveler. In 2002, after graduating from UCL, University College London, with the Bachelor's of Science in Information Management, he adopted full management monastic life to expand his knowledge, deepen his spirituality, and share these timeless principles with the wider society. For the past 20 years, Keshava Maharaj was a resident monk at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. How many of you have been to the manor? Oh wow, wonderful. He pioneered the school of Bhakti, led the monastic training program, and drove forward national outreach projects. He has designed numerous courses on Vedic theology, lifestyle management, and spiritual self-development, and has authored 10 books which bring the ancient wisdom into the modern context. Just last year, Maharaj accepted the vows of lifetime renunciation. Nowadays, he is traveling all over the world and preaching, like he is in Philadelphia today. He continues to diligently study Sanskrit texts, considering how to proliferate spiritual wisdom in a world that is suffocating from materialism. On a personal note, I met Maharaj back in 2003 in Italy.
20 years
It's
ago.
always been
20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah. In Italy, in Prabhupada.
He only looks 20 years old.
And since then, it's always been a pleasure to see him. It's been a while since I've been at the manor, but every time I've been, I've seen him. So thank you very much, Maharaj, for coming to Philadelphia and spending your day here. Very grateful that you're here. And then just another note, cell phones, if you can just put on either silent or vibrate, that would be most appreciated. The bathroom is right to the side of the steps in case you're looking for it. And if you have kids that need attention, that might be making noise, there's a live broadcast upstairs in the family room. And the other thing is, I think we can come a little closer. It's always better.
Space in the center, little space in the center.
Yeah. And also if we can just create a little aisle so that people can walk back and forth. Jenny, can you move a little bit to that side, to your, to your left? Yep. That's it. So without further ado, thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, everyone. It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for your warm welcome and your presence. I feel inspired seeing everyone. So yeah, today we'll have an opportunity to have a bit of a discussion together. Which I then suggested we speak about faith and doubt. Of course, none of you have any doubts, fully faithful. But maybe sometimes some things do appear in our hearts and minds which may obstruct our spiritual progress. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about faith and doubt. And it'll be very informal, so I'll just kind of share with you some of my ideas, some of my thoughts. And then I'll be really happy to hear your thoughts and ideas, and we can throw some questions around and see how we can nourish our faith and remove any doubts this evening. Does that sound okay?
Very good.
Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari 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 Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janarandana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari 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 Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Chakshurmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubheva-cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo Om Vishnuvaya Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Gaurani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Vechanarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande. Hare Bol. So much. Hare Krishna. So this evening we are having a discussion on faith and doubt. When I was studying at university, I studied at UCL, University College London. So in between lectures, I was trying to get my rounds done. And so I don't know how many of you are familiar with London, but right next to University College London, which isn't too far from Bury Place, the first temple that Srila Prabhupada ever established in London, not too far from there is a park called Russell Square. And this is a very famous park because Srila Prabhupada used to often take morning walks in this park. So in between lectures, to chart my rounds, I would go to that park and sit on the bench and wonder about what life would hold for me in the future, and in the middle of that, trying to finish my sadhana. And I always remembered one pastime, because one very, very famous pastime took place at Russell Square. One time in the morning there, Srila Prabhupada was walking, and he was surrounded by his disciples. So some of them were GBCs with very high responsibilities, some of them were sannyasis, they had renounced everything. And practically, even if they weren't sannyasis, at that time every devotee renounced everything to join the movement. And therefore Srila Prabhupada was walking on this particular morning. And you know, everyone would try and be close to Srila Prabhupada just to catch if he would say something. And you know, sometimes they'd be walking behind Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada would stop and they'd be like, make sure that they catch his heel or something. So they were listening very carefully, and somehow on this morning, Srila Prabhupada was very quiet. He didn't say much at all. And then at one point, in Russell Square, Srila Prabhupada just stopped. And he looked back at all of the devotees who were behind him, and he said, there's only one problem. So everyone was thinking, am I the problem? What was the problem? He said, there's only one problem. And then he paused, and then he said, the problem is, you don't believe that Krishna exists. I was thinking, like, that's amazing. Here were people who gave up their whole life Here were people who were serving Krishna from morning to evening. Here were people who were dedicating so much of their time to reading about Krishna, distributing knowledge about Krishna, speaking about Krishna, chanting Krishna's names. And Prabhupada made the point, you don't believe in Krishna. And when I heard that pastime, it always opened up in me a thought, my God, do I believe in Krishna? Do I believe there's a blue boy who may just dance into my life and start speaking to me? And it's a very profound point. To have deep faith, deep belief, deep conviction in Krishna is actually a very, very rare thing. Even Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kashkin yatati siddhaye. Out of many thousands of people, one may try. And out of those that try, maybe a few will achieve perfection. And out of those who have achieved perfection, maybe one will know me. So it's actually a very rare thing. But we're on this journey because we have some faith. Maybe we don't have full faith. But if we didn't have any faith, you couldn't have begun this journey. Because Rupa Goswami says, Ado Shraddha. In the beginning, there must be faith. Shraddha is a very interesting word. Dha means to place. And Rit means the heart. So Shraddha, or the Sanskrit word for faith, literally means to put your heart into something. So we're putting our heart into Krishna consciousness. Maybe some days we put a little bit of heart, and maybe other days we put a lot more heart. Maybe some days when we're in a kirtan, we're singing with a little bit of heart. And maybe some days we're singing with a lot of heart. How much heart were we singing with today? Every day is different. So our faith is moving up and down, and doubts are also there. So this topic of how we nourish our faith and remove our doubts is very, very important. When I came to Krishna consciousness, of course I went to university, so yeah, I was having a little bit of a scientific mind as well. So once I said to the devotees, like, I don't know, like whether I should believe in science or whether I should believe in spirituality. And the devotee, he answered me beautifully. He said, you can believe in both. They don't conflict with each other. Rather, they complement each other. And then he said, science is experimental, but spirituality is experiential. I said, wow, that should be an Instagram. Then he came out with a better, he said, science teaches you about matter. Spirituality teaches you what matters. So wow, this guy's getting even better. And then he said, science makes things better. Spirituality makes people better. And I was like, alright, I surrender. We often think of science and spirituality in competition. But actually science is dealing with a certain realm of knowledge, and spirituality is dealing with another realm of knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada opened up the idea also that spirituality can also be considered a scientific process. Prabhupada never taught Krishna consciousness as a religion. He never taught Krishna consciousness as a sectarian belief. He never taught Krishna consciousness as something which is for one culture, tradition or people. He taught Krishna consciousness as a spiritual science. When I met the devotees at Soho Temple, I was speaking to one of them, and he said, Krishna consciousness, we're not here to try and help you believe in God. I was like, really? Is this guy a true representative? He said, no, we're not trying to make you believe in God. He said, we're trying to equip you with the tools, practices and processes by which you can perceive the presence of God at every moment in your life. I was like, wow, that's exciting. It's not just a belief. It may begin with faith, but it must mature into a tangible interaction, feeling of reciprocation and perception of God. And that is what Krishna says. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam. This is directly perceived by realization. So, I'm just going to begin today. I'm traveling nowadays and now I'm meeting audiences who I've never met before, many of you. So it's always nice for me to know a bit about you before I speak with you. And I'm just going to ask you for 2 minutes just to turn to the person next to you. This is like, sorry, I have to do some interactive exercise. Forgive me. But it will be useful. I want you to just turn to whoever's next to you in 2s or 3s and just tell them, one of you, I want you to share what is that thing which gives you the biggest faith in spirituality or God. And if someone tells that, then the other person has to say, what is that thing which gives you the biggest doubt in spirituality or God? Is that okay? We can just share that with each other. What is it that gives you the greatest faith? And what is it that causes you the greatest doubt at this point in your life? Is that okay? Alright, I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes. Don't be shy.
What does it give you?
If you need to move around or move towards someone, please don't be shy.
It's kirtan for me.
Kirtan, good. And names of flowers. What is it, doubt? Do you have any doubt?
Yeah, I would say myself. You know, I think myself, you know, like, I guess like you know, I came from a lot of like pain and suffering, and so I have that internal battle, like the negative thoughts, you know, I'm not good enough.
That's your current state or?
Always, you know, I'm always battling the mind. You know, the mind is not my best friend all the time. You know, it's subdued, but you know, it's a struggle. You know, so that's where my doubt. You know,
Actually, same year.
if I can just get out of the way, you know, like that's what I try to do.
Yeah, same year. Mind out, battle always.
Mind, you know, like if I can just get my mind under control all the time, you know, like there's no selling. I'm working on it, you know. The more I do kirtan, you know, the easier it is. The more I
Everybody is working, trying best.
Bhakti Siddhanta said you wake up and you beat it with brooms, you know, and then at night, you know, you beat it with shrooms. You know, I'm one of those people. Every morning and night, you know, you gotta continue to do it.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name, bro?
Murari Gupta.
Murari.
Yes. What's yours?
Mukta Sangha.
Gupta?
Mukta Sangha.
Sangha. Gupta Sangha. Sangha Das. Very nice to meet you. Murari Gupta Das.
Disciple?
Bhagavan Swami.
Oh, nice.
Yes. My godbrother. That's why I'm sitting next to him. You know, trying to get some still some of his mercy. He reminds me of my Guru Maharaj. He's got that personal, gentle nature, my Guru Maharaj.
He has some disciple?
No, not yet. No. But he's my godbrother. He's a disciple of Bhagavan Swami. I'm sure he will, though.
He's very young.
He's doing very well. I like him. He's very I mean, I imagine he seems like a
I heard he's 42, I'm not sure.
yeah, I was thinking he was probably younger. I'm 45. I was thinking he was between 40 and 25. expecting any effect. He wants some cartels. Cartels.
I hope there's lots of faith and not lots of doubt. Thank you so much. Sometimes it just helps to hear from each other what gives people faith to carry on. Because sometimes we wait, the alarm clock goes off in the morning and you're like, I'm not sure. It's good to know what keeps people going. What gives you the most faith? Would you like to share anything that came up in your groups? Anything. It can be a personal realization or someone else's. Share with us, be kind. What is the one thing which gives you great faith that there's something to it? Anyone?
Kirtan.
And what about kirtan?
Kirtan, I mean, because you're directly associating with Krishna, directly.
So you feel a presence of Krishna.
Yes.
When you practice. So yes, when we practice this, we feel a reciprocation, we feel a presence, we feel that there's a relationship there, a tangible giving and receiving.
Yeah, the more I do it, the better it gets.
Okay, wonderful. Yes?
Between myself and my partner here, it's basically the love and emotion felt in the company of devotees, and the other one was the depth of the philosophy of essentially how much sense it makes.
Okay, so the logic and the watertight philosophy that satisfies your questions and satisfies your intellect. And then very interestingly, you said the love and emotion amongst devotees. And sometimes it's people, the practitioners, we get faith from other people's faith in divinity, and that really gives us a sense of, wow, I may not have it, but I have faith in them, and they have great faith in that, and therefore I have faith in that. Amazing, thank you.
When
Yes.
all our spiritual desires get fulfilled, when Krishna grant whatever you want in your spiritual life, then that makes...
And what about when he doesn't? Then he gets out?
Then we need shelter of senior residents.
Yes. When we feel as though we're asking or talking to God, and then He's reciprocating back with us very specifically, things happen. Once I used to, in the Brahmachari ashram, I reserved a spot to sleep right next to the bookshelf. Because I was convinced that if every night I would sleep with my head next to the bookshelf, then magically, in those nighttime hours, there would be a transference of knowledge into my head. I used to sleep with my head, and I'm honest, I'm telling the truth. So what I used to do every day before I used to go to sleep is I would just reach over to the bookshelf and pick a book and read something. So on this particular night, I picked the Bhagavad Gita out, and I opened it, and it opened to 15:15. And there Krishna says, from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So I was reading it, and then I was kind of like, yeah, knowledge, that makes sense. Remembrance, that makes sense. Forgetfulness, then I was thinking so I was thinking for 5 minutes, how does forgetfulness come from God? What does that mean? So I was thinking about this, and then I fell asleep. And then in the morning, my mobile phone alarm went off, and I'd had this mobile phone for 1 year. So to turn the mobile phone off, you have to turn the phone on and put your PIN in. So I turned it on, and I put the PIN in, and it rejected. And I was like, so then I put my pin in again. I've been putting it in every single day for 1 year. And it rejected again. And I was like, if this rejects a third time, it's going to jam the phone. So I sat up in my sleeping bag and I was like, and I put in another number and it jammed. The whole phone jammed. And I just couldn't remember my pin. And then I looked and I saw the Bhagavad Gita. And I was like, okay, from me comes forgetfulness. You have a good sense of humor. So it's interesting, things like that happen, where we feel Krishna or God is responding. Thank you. Yes, you had something.
Thank you, Maharaj, so much for spending this time with us. We both talked a little bit about having Krishna's mercy in retrospect and seeing his hand divinely giving us this beautiful dance of our lives. And so you can see and learn and look at the troubles and look at some of the struggles, but you can see the why.
That's amazing, that's such a beautiful point. Yeah, sometimes we don't get faith in the moment, but what we do get faith is when we look back and see how everything transpired. They say you have to live life going forwards, but sometimes you can only understand it looking backwards. Sometimes I look back in my life and I made decisions, and when I look back, when I made that decision, I was like, how did I even make that decision? There was no rational reason to be so confident to make that decision. But in that moment, I made the decision, and then looking back, I see, oh my God, there must have been something more that was impelling me to make that decision, and it brought me here today. It's very, very amazing when we look back. That's why one thing I love to do is journaling. Somehow, I used to think journaling is what teenage kids do when they got a crush on someone. But later on I realized it's actually an amazing way to be reflective. So now I have like 25 years of journals. And it's on a password protected. I didn't write it in books. No way. And sometimes what I do is I open that up and I read, what did I write 10 years ago on this day? What did I write 20 years ago on this day? And it's incredible because you begin to see how Krishna was arranging so many things. One devotee, he said, he was asked, have you seen Krishna? He said, I've not seen his face, but I see his hand every day. Yes, that's very nice to see the hand of God. Very nice, thank you. Yes, Prabhu.
Mine was Srila Prabhupada and just how he had so much stacked against him, and just with the order of his Guru Maharaj and faith in Krishna, he was able to come over here and do so much. And that is just a huge source of inspiration and faith for me.
Yeah, there was one scholar, he had a very famous quote on Prabhupada. He said, now I can see it's a miracle. Otherwise, how could one old man, with only a few books to sell for getting money, introduce a God-conscious movement in a materialistic society? It's amazing. Prabhupada, I also very much had that sense that what convinced me about Krishna consciousness was Srila Prabhupada's life. It was almost like the living proof that this is real, this really works, this is powerful. Yeah. And what gives you doubts? Okay, here we go, confession time. What makes you doubt? Be honest, tell us, we won't judge you. Of course, you're telling your partner's one, not your own one. Yes.
My partner said that. So, someone who is not spiritual, they'll start doubting when bad things happen.
When bad things happen to good people, yeah. Why do bad things happen to good people? And perhaps that is, what we really mean is, why do bad things happen to me? Because I'm a good person. So why no? But we see suffering in the world. We see so much chaos. We see so much disarray, and then it begins to dawn on us like, how could there be an all-compassionate, omniscient, powerful God out there, and at the same time all these things are happening? Yeah, that's a big one. What else causes you to doubt divinity, doubt God, doubt Krishna consciousness? Oh, yes.
When we try to understand Krishna's unlimited nature with our limited mind.
Yeah, so sometimes there are inconceivable things, sometimes there are just things which are beyond our current perception. And when we're kind of insistent that no, I must understand it through logic and rationale, then sometimes that causes us doubts because we just can't go there right now. Yeah. Thank you. What else gives you doubts? Yes.
Maharaj, thank you. So one doubt is like some of the pastimes seem like fantastical and there's no, well, I haven't found scientific evidence to be able to say, okay, like Putna, there was this, or, you have this kind of monkey creatures and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, sounds sometimes like mythology, oceans of milk, animals jumping from one country to another. Once His Holiness Jayaveta Maharaj, I remember he was in Soho and he was talking about Hanuman jumping from one to another. And then one person put his hand and goes, this is a load of rubbish. He goes, how can a monkey jump from one country to another? So Maharaj looked at him and he said, just because you can't do it. and then the man said, he got, it was a little like, he goes, well, how do you know? How do you know? Maybe I can do it. So Maharaj goes, oh, if you can do it, then he can also do it. But still, it's difficult for us because we have to look at this world seemingly through our own perception. Even though we know our perception is limited, still, when things are beyond our perception, naturally it feels like it could just be a story or a myth or something. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Anything else? Come on, I know we can go a little deeper here. Tell me
We could not come up with, we feel we don't doubt, we don't have any doubt, but we know we do because we haven't surrendered.
Yeah, okay.
When we make contingency plans, that means, so it's more of I think a lament that we have not been able to do it. That's more.
It's such a good point that in one sense, this is why I'm doing this exercise, and this is why it might be useful for you to also deeply do this exercise another time, because there must be something blocking us. If we're not fully giving ourselves our heart, there must be a block. And oftentimes, we don't know what that block is, because many doubts are conscious, and many doubts are also lying in the subconscious, but they're still blocking us. We somehow in this life learn to expertly brush it under the carpet, just leave it in. And it's kind of there, but you don't deal with it too much. And therefore, coming face to face with what your doubts are the first step in overcoming them and then letting that flow. So thank you. Yes. Yes, would you want to say?
I'm still trying to figure out how to fulfill all my material desires. I think it's not going to end.
And how does that give you doubt?
Because I think I'm not ever going to stop trying to figure that out.
Oh, okay, so you have doubt in your own ability to overcome material desires. And therefore, sometimes we doubt. Yeah, the process makes sense, the goal is great, the devotees are amazing, but can I do it? Will I be able to ever get to this level of commitment? I've been trying for so many years, so sometimes we doubt our own capacity, our own ability to do this. Yeah. One more? Anyone?
When
Yes.
bad things happen to devotees, like the incident happened in Bangladesh, you know.
When devotees were attacked, and so
attacked,
when those
yes,
who are
many of
very
the deities, the problem was the deities who attacked.
so when those who are very devoted to God have to suffer trials and tribulations, yeah.
I was going to say it's not working fast enough. That's a doubt.
What gives us doubt is sometimes our expectations of what we thought Krishna consciousness would do to me. Sometimes that is not playing out in reality.
I think Andrew had one too.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to make kind of a bit of a comment to doubt, in a sense, is important, because without doubt then we can't have knowledge about anything.
Yeah, I think, and that's a really good point, yeah, that doubts are not a bad thing, because doubts can actually help us to get to a deeper why. Doubts can also help us to understand things that we may not have explored before. They say doubt is also a function of intelligence. And also doubt is a sign of sincerity, because it means you have an intention to want to go deeper, but you need to resolve this before you can go. If someone has no intention to go deeper, then they probably won't have any doubts, because they're not planning to go on the journey anyway. So sometimes you say like, I'm okay, I don't have any doubts. Then you start getting worried, because you think either it means you're there, and if you're not there, it probably means that you haven't really sincerely thought about getting there, because if you did, there'd be doubts, and you have to overcome them. And therefore you see Bhagavad Gita is actually a book of doubts in one sense. Arjuna asked Krishna 17 questions in the Bhagavad Gita. And if you group the questions, there are 3 types of questions. One type of question is he says, Krishna, I don't understand what you're saying. Another type of doubt that Arjuna comes up with is, Krishna, I know what you're saying, but it doesn't make logical sense to me. And another type of doubt that Arjuna comes up with, Krishna, I know what you're saying, it makes logical sense, but I don't think it's practical. I don't think I can do it. So Arjuna is and Krishna is happy. He's answering it patiently. So yeah, it's such a beautiful point that doubts are a beautiful part of the journey as well, if we learn to deal with them appropriately. Today I'm just going to share with you 3 things about faith. And then I'll kind of open it up and see what questions, what things you may want to add to the discussion. When I was going on this path and thinking of investing my faith, I remember having a long conversation with a devotee in which I revealed all of my doubts about what was blocking me on this journey. And in that conversation, he revealed to me, to this day I remember it, 3 things about faith which have always stood with me. The first thing he told me is that faith is natural. He said, in life you have to always put faith in something. Sometimes we think, I can't do the spiritual path because I can't put that kind of faith. But every single day we're putting faith in something. Can you tell me something you've put faith in the last week that you didn't prove before you put faith in it? Can you tell me anything?
That our car would even make it here today.
That your car would even make it here today, that it wouldn't break down on the way. What else?
That my plane was going to take off and actually do what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, we were just in a United Airways flight, and there was some serious turbulence. I mean, turbulence when the plane is coming down is still not so bad. When you're going up, I don't know if you've ever experienced that one. That is like, because it's kind of going up and then it goes zoom, and then it goes up and it goes down again, and you think, oh my God, like this is it, you know? So yeah, we put faith in a pilot. We have no idea. We don't even know who it is. But we get on the plane and we have faith. Some of you got married. Did you do a criminal record check on who you got married to? Did you? After all, you can't jump into decisions without resolving your doubts. No, we put some faith because there was some attraction. So like that, faith is very, very natural. So actually you're not required. Sometimes people think, oh, I need something extra. You know, spiritual people have some extra type of faith that material people don't have that allows them to go on this journey. No, faith is natural for everyone. It's just a matter of what you're going to put your faith in. And therefore, we can approach it like that, that it's not anything, I'm not doing anything extra here than what I normally do in my other life. But what I'm doing is I'm putting faith in something that has the potentiality to give me something back, which is incredible. The return on this type of faith can be something which can open new worlds for you. And therefore, the first thing is that faith is very, very natural. The second thing he revealed to me in this conversation was that faith is also rational. He showed me how faith in Krishna consciousness or faith in spirituality is not just something random, but it actually has a very, very deep, logical, rational, empiric basis. You know, actually, people who practice religion, there are different types of faith that they have. In Sanskrit, one type of faith is known as Lokika Shraddha, which means a type of cultural or traditional faith, where people come to a temple or a church or a mosque just because it's part of their culture, just because the family has been doing it for generations, and therefore we should also do it. So this is a very type of worldly type of faith, cultural faith. But then the teachers say, higher than this is something what we call Baladut Padita Shraddha, which means a force type of faith. When someone has kind of impressed their ideas on you, and by their charisma, by their persuasiveness, by the strength of their arguments, they have kind of taken on, you have taken on some of their faith and begun the journey. But then it said higher than these two types of Shraddha is something called Svabhaviki Shraddha, which means a very natural, spiritual, scripturally based type of faith, where one reads what the scripture has to say, one reads what the spiritual science is, and by reading it and understanding it rationally, they then put their faith into the process and try to do it with some heart in order to become a spiritual scientist and discover what may lie ahead. And so in this way, faith is not just natural, but faith is also very, very rational. You have everything to gain. There's no reason not to invest your faith. In France, there was a kind of, we had Pascal, Blaise Pascal, you may have heard his name. And he was a theist, and he was living in a very skeptical society. And in order to encourage people to go on the spiritual path, he came up with something called Pascal's wager. You may have heard of this. He said there are two directions you could go in life. One is that you say God exists, and one is that you say God doesn't exist. So he said, if you go the route that God doesn't exist, and at the end of life God doesn't exist, then you didn't gain anything, you didn't lose anything, because it was just all meaningless anyway. And if you go the route that God doesn't exist and God ends up existing, then you got eternal loss. He said, but if you go the route that God exists and at the end God doesn't exist, then you haven't lost anything or you haven't gained anything, because it was all meaningless anyway. But if you go that route and God does exist, then you got eternal gain. So he said, if you're a betting person, you may as well believe that God exists and go in that direction, because you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Of course, there were some comebacks to that one, but we can go through that later on if you're interested. But it was an interesting argument. Even they said that to Srila Prabhupada once. One reporter said to Srila Prabhupada, you wake up in the morning, it's Krishna's names, then you translate Krishna's books, then you give classes about Krishna, then you try to expand your Krishna movement, then you tell all your disciples about how can they can be more Krishna conscious, and then you come back and give more lectures on Krishna. What about if at the end there's no Krishna? And Prabhupada said, I do it anyway, because I'm just having a beautiful life. It's just nice, it's great, and if he doesn't exist at the end, no problem. I mean, it's just a beautiful life. So in that way, if one finds a joyful life in spirituality, there's everything to gain and nothing to lose. Because, if everything is matter, then ultimately nothing matters anyway. So, no problem. So in this way, faith is very rational, or it's not just something irrational. And the final thing he shared with me is that faith is actually very, very beautiful. Faith is not just natural, faith is not just rational, but actually faith is very, very beautiful. Because if we never had faith in anything, then all our life would be limited to is our own small world of perception. But the moment you begin thinking that, yes, maybe I can put faith in something beyond, then what happens is you begin opening up other realms of discovery that otherwise you would have no access to. Sometimes they say faith doesn't make sense, and that's exactly why it can create dreams. Because faith can open us up to newer things. You see, doubt, the best thing that doubt can do is it can prevent you from doing the wrong thing. Doubt will never take you to the right thing. The best thing that doubt can do is save you from doing the wrong thing. So if we live our life constantly with doubts, then it's like driving a car with your foot over the brake pedal. Definitely you're not going to crash into anything. That's for sure. But then maybe you ain't going to get anywhere far either. So people who are constantly doubting without dealing with that, without working through that, and without trying to clarify that, skepticism, sometimes people just approach life in a very skeptical way. They're skeptical of everything. But even that is they're not even following their own path, because if they're skeptical about everything, they should also be skeptical about being skeptical. Because skepticism and doubting everything doesn't take you far. But the moment we begin putting some faith in, then it opens the doors for discovery. And science also has faith, because there's hypothesis, experiment, conclusion. So what does hypothesis mean? It means faith. It means there's some idea that you have of reality that you haven't yet proved, but that you're accepting in the beginning in order to further your understanding. Sometimes in science they say, we are accepting this as an axiomatic truth. And you know what an axiomatic truth is? It's something that they believe in that they haven't yet proved, yet they're accepting it in order to advance in that area of knowledge. But they don't call it faith. No, we don't have faith. It's an axiomatic truth. No, dear friend, it's faith. No, it's axiomatic truth. It's just words. It's faith. Because without faith, Aristotle even says this, if you don't have faith, you will go into an infinite regress. Like say for example, I say, sorry to get a bit technical here, but it's useful. If I say, prove to me that water boils at 100 degrees, and then you get a Bunsen burner, and then you get a thermometer, and then you do the whole thing, and it goes 100 degrees. Oh, yes, it's right. But then someone could come and say, but how do I know that's mercury in the thermometer? So then you have to take the mercury out and do a whole nother experiment to prove the mercury. And then in that one you prove another thing, and then he said you go into an infinite regress and you'll never go forward. He said, therefore you have to accept something to be true in the beginning to advance in that area. But that acceptance is beautiful because it opens up discovery. And so in spiritual life we need faith. Ado Shraddha. It begins with faith. But as you're putting faith, don't forget, faith is natural. We're doing it every day anyway. Faith is rational. It's not blind faith. It's not sentimental. There's a very strong philosophical foundation to it. And faith is beautiful. Know that if you are able to generate this faith, then life can turn into a beautiful set of experiences, opening you up to the world of unlimited possibility. And that's why Krishna is always encouraging Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that feed your faith and gradually starve your doubts. And in this way, you can spiritually become very, very nourished. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Speak now much longer than this, and rather maybe I'll just open it up and see, perhaps you have a comment, you have a question, you have something maybe about the doubts or the faith that we've talked about, something that you'd like to know more about, then we can kind of have a discussion going forward. So yes, would anyone like to ask anything or add to the conversation? Okay. Yes,
By the time people are warming up. So, Prabhuji, you explained faith very nicely. Similarly, if you can talk about the Shraddha, how does Shraddha fit in with the faith? Is the faith, this is the Shraddha, or you have Shraddha to begin with to solidify your faith? So, with a similar intensity, if you can elaborate on the aspect of Shraddha as well, I'll appreciate that.
Actually, in English, we translate Shraddha as faith. Although Shraddha means in the beginning there must be faith. So when we say Shraddha and we say faith, we're actually referring to the same thing. And that faith can increase. How does that faith increase? I say 3 things will increase your Shraddha. The first thing is philosophy. Understanding the logic behind the thing that you're doing helps to increase your faith. The second thing that increases faith is people. People who are actually investing that same faith and achieving the results. Then you think, yes, I can also put my faith in this. And the third thing that increases your faith is practice. When you actually put that faith and you experience it for yourself. Therefore, the 3 P's increase your faith. Philosophy, people, and practice. And if we invest in these things, then we'll find a higher and higher grade of faith, which then opens up deeper and deeper experiences. Because what our teachers say is that faith is the beginning, Ado Shraddha, but then through a spiritual process, one reaches a stage called Nishtha. Now Nishtha is very interesting because Nishtha translates as conviction. Sta literally means to be situated in one place. Like if I asked you, tell me some English words which begin with ST.
Still.
Still, stop, stand, stay, steady, stop. See, they all have that sense of like being in one place, not unshakable. So sta, nishta, literally means that place that you reach once your faith has solidified into conviction. That then means you're unmovable. And in order to get from that shraddha to nishta, then these three things are important: philosophy, people, and practice. That's what bridges the gap between shraddha and nishta. And then after nishta, then all the good things happen. You get ruchi, which means great taste. Ashakti, which means an attachment of the heart. Bhava, which means transcendental emotion. And then prema, which means divine love. So, but first you have to get to nishta. So it's not so easy. Sometimes we're chanting one day and we don't fall asleep and we think, nishta. Maybe not. Because nishta requires a deep purification. So up until nishta is explained like it's going uphill, it's not easy. But once you're at nishta, it's like reaching the peak, and then it's a downward. Yeah? Thank you. Yes?
So Maharaj, for any processes in Krishna consciousness, Hare Krishna Maharaj. So for any process in Krishna consciousness, we are able to find some logic behind it.
Yes.
Right? And some scientific reason behind it. Like sometimes we think that while chanting, just speaking and listening, it will calm our mind, and that will make us better in whatever we are doing. And like that, following morning program every day will bring a regularity. So we tend to focus more on or have more faith on all this scientific basis than the spiritual benefit or spirituality that it's a Krishna's name. So sometimes thinking about all these things, it sometimes helps to keep us doing it, but sometimes it cannot increase our...
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. So sometimes in order to put faith in, we try to rationalize, systemize everything and say, yeah, do it because of X, Y, Z. It makes logical sense. But then sometimes it feels that we're so in our head about the whole thing that we can't give our heart to it. But in the beginning it's explained that we have to do that bit because otherwise there'll be too many doubts and we won't be able to give our heart anyway. So in the beginning we do something because it logically makes sense, because that's how we start. But then later on what happens is the logic actually falls further and further behind, and what comes more and more to the forefront is the sweetness of the experience. And therefore, one time Srila Prabhupada, he was having a debate with those from, not debate, but discussion, they wanted a debate, from Mensa. You know Mensa? Mensa is like the kind of community of the most intelligent people, the IQ tests and all of that. So they came up to Srila Prabhupada and they were trying to discuss with him about different things. They came up with the problem of rocks. You know this one? Can God, they asked him, can God create a rock so heavy that he can't lift it? What do you think? Yes? Yes. If you say yes, then there's something God can't lift. Therefore, how's he God? And if you say no, then there's something God can't create. So how's he God? So they asked Prabhupada, what's your answer? And Prabhupada said, yes, he can create, and then he can lift. They had never heard that answer before. Yeah, he can create it, and then he can lift. And then he can create something, and then he can lift it. Because his glory, his opulence is always ever expanding. Anyway, so he was having this debate. And then at the end, Prabhupada just turned to one of the devotees and he said, why don't they just take Krishna? He's so nice. Just take him. He's so nice. After all the arguments, Prabhupada just said, he's so nice. But in the beginning, because we are in the head, so we can't give our heart. See, right now, most of us are in our heads, either emotionally, philosophically, mentally, whatever. We're all up here. So what has to happen is we have to make this thing calm first. The head has to become a little cool. And then when the head becomes cool, then the heart can open up. One time Srila Prabhupada was at the manor, and in the beginning it was a press conference, and then this lady reporter, she put her hand up and she said, why do you shave your head? So Prabhupada looked back at her and said, why do you shave your legs? It was a bit of one of those moments. And then she was a little speechless, and then Prabhupada looked at her and said, it's okay. We prefer warm legs and a cool head. So you need a cool head for Krishna consciousness. It was a very profound point. You need a cool head. But right now we're so much in the head. So the philosophy, the logic, the arguments help the head to just simmer down. Open up the heart. It's very difficult to open up your heart when the mind is... One devotee said, my mind during japa time is like a horror movie. Couldn't wait to that one. So, therefore it's necessary, but it's not the conclusion. Yeah. Okay? Yeah, go ahead. I saw another hand here, but anyway, go ahead. Yeah, go for it.
Why is it that we, like, when we do have faith, like, it's not as strong? Like, for example, whenever I'm chanting my rounds, I'm always like, oh, when is the last round gonna come? And then I can, like, just be free.
Yeah. You see, when we're doing something like chanting, what we tell people is that attention leads to attraction, which leads to attachment. But the thing is, when we don't do something with attention, then what happens is we don't get any attraction. And when we don't get any attraction, then gradually it just becomes like a ritual. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in Harinam Chintamani, he says that the root of all problems in chanting Hare Krishna is inattentiveness. And so the faith is not growing because the quality of the application is lacking. Right? Like just to be present when chanting. Sometimes we do long retreats, long seminars on chanting. But actually it's just treating the name as a person. It's actually, you don't need to have, in one sense, long seminars if we understood the name was a person. Like sometimes we have to tell devotees, like, make sure you go to bed on time, and when you chant, you're well rested so you don't fall asleep. But imagine, like now I went into a company to give a seminar on how to have a good conversation. And I said, point number 1, don't go to sleep. Like obviously. But because we're not seeing Nam as a person, therefore we have to be told all of these things. But the moment we begin to approach Nam as a person, Hari Nam, Prabhu, as the Kali Kale, Nama Rupa, Krishna Avatar, is Krishna's form in Kali Yuga. Then what happens is that we enter into a deeper exchange. So really, our faith will evolve when there is a quality of application. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I see hands here.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. So, I think when we're on a spiritual path for a bit, it seems like sometimes Krishna, or maybe we put obstacles on ourselves, or tests come up, and they can make challenges for us in our spiritual endeavors. And for me personally, sometimes I may even recognize that it's a test or an obstacle, but I'm just like, I'm just too tired. I don't want to deal with this. I don't have the strength. And how do we push past that? Even if we recognize we're being tested and just kind of want to run the other direction and not deal with it. Any suggestions for moving past those hurdles?
In Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his songs, he beautifully says, Ekaki amar nahi paya bal harinam sankirtane. He says, Ekaki amar, me by myself, nahi paya bal. I don't have any strength. Alone, I have no strength to chant the holy name of Krishna. There's an African proverb, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk with many. And so, if I was to say one thing that immediately comes to my mind on that, it would be that the quality of our spiritual life and our quality and our ability to deal with challenge is directly proportionate to the quality of our relationships. When we have quality, saintly connections, then it seems as though we get a strength to face anything, to do anything. It's amazing. I was watching once this video of these Masai Mara. You know the Masai Mara? These kind of the tribal people. So they're very tall, they're very thin, and it was amazing. They were in the this kind of in the wilderness, whatever it was, and then there was this lion, and three of them just together. There was this roaring lion, like fierce, like eat them alive. And these three Masai, it was this amazing video, these three Masai Maras, they're thin, but what they do is they just together, they walk towards this lion, like marching together. And as they get closer to the lion is roaring, but they're like totally unfazed. And they just keep walking towards this lion. And it's amazing. They get within 1 meter of this lion. The lion's roaring, and they come within 1 meter, and then this lion just runs away. It was one of the most amazing videos I've seen. I was just like, that's the power of solidarity and faith that grows together, that you can almost do anything. So, it's explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sang, Krishna Prema Janma Teho Punamukya Ang. The very Janma Mula, the root cause of the awakening of love for Krishna, is the genuine company of the saintly people where one can actually open and share their heart. In that kind of association, Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishati, one increases their faith, their attraction, and ultimately awakens their devotion. And so, therefore, Prabhupada created this opportunity to have this company. Yeah, what to say? Even the Beatles sang a song like that, no? I get by with a little help. I get by with a little help from my friends, or something of that nature. That was before my time. I know it a little bit. I guess there could be many other perspectives to that, but one perspective.
So don't be an island.
Yeah, don't be an island. It's so difficult. I often say this, when I came to the Krishna consciousness movement, the last thing I was looking for was relationships. I was actually trying to get away from everyone. I was like, I'm going to become a monk, it's going to be me and God and farewell to the rest of the world. I often say this, like I was a weird kid. This is how weird I was. I was reading a Buddhist book about monks. And in this Buddhist book, you know what it said? The perfection of life for a monk is if you die and nobody knows and nobody cries. And I was like, whoa. That inspired me, you know? That's how weird I was. So I came to the movement, I was not looking for relationships. I was just like, I'm totally fine, you know, I'm done with the world. And then I joined and then every second class was about relationships. About relationships, you know, like I want to be a monk, you know. No, you have to have deep relationships. I was like, oh man. But if you would ask me now, I believe that my greatest wealth in my spiritual journey, hands down, is the relationships I have with the devotees. Because that made everything. How strong was my chanting? Struggle. How strong was my reading? Something. How much service did I? But the relationships with the devotees, that opened up so much. So it's difficult. In Kali Yuga, we're so impersonal. It's a deep impersonalism that we have to overcome. Good challenge.
I was asking almost the same question. I'm thinking, we have so much faith, we're so convinced about the process, and still we cannot apply it. We apply it, and our faith are not so strong. So what are the reasons? I know there's a lot of reasons, so some practical reasons you can say why we cannot.
I think everyone's individual, everyone has individual blocks. We know the general reasons are all there for everyone of what is stopping us on this journey. But everyone has their own. You know, one person might have gone through a very bad experience in the Hare Krishna movement or in their life, and that may be their block. You know, they still have an emotional resistance to opening their heart to God. Or for another person, you know, it may be, you know, that they're, I don't know, they're very, very intellectual and they're, you know, their mind just doesn't allow them to stop on arguing. Once in the manor for about 5 years, we had this like PhD scholar who would come for every Bhagavatam class. And it was just like he had this inner scholar that it was just so hard for him. He was trying so hard to break out of his inner scholar. It was so hard, you know, because his mind was just trained to doubt everything. When I started university, I wanted to study philosophy. And to be honest, I'm so glad I didn't. Because some of my friends studied philosophy, and basically what they did, at least in this institution that I went to, is in philosophy they just systematically train you to just doubt everything. It's just so like, it becomes so hard for them to believe anything, you know. So for some people it's that, for some people it's an emotional thing, for some people it's like, I like Krishna consciousness, but I can't connect to all these people. Like I just don't find a home in the Krishna consciousness movement. Some people say that. You know, I just can't, I don't relate to any of these people. Sometimes it's difficult. We live in a movement, we're so different in one sense. One time as we were giving a class and the speaker said, look around. He said, if it wasn't for Krishna consciousness, would you be friends with any of these guys? We looked around and we were so different. It's like, no, probably not. You know? And so sometimes we're having to overcome all these barriers. I can't relate to these people that do different. So everyone has a different block. And so we have to do that very deep inner work to understand what's stopping me. What's my block? Why am I not able to give my heart? And then start working with that. You know? And then one goes on a progressive journey. I don't know how we're doing for time. You just let me know when you're...
Sure, Raj. I think, does anyone else have a question? I think Mother Sujanya has one, and then I think we can call.
Yeah, maybe. Just, and then we can always speak just to hold everyone too long.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. It's a very nice class. But then I felt, okay, faith is more...
There's always a but. Yes, tell me.
It's more like personal, wherein you feel, okay, I have faith now, we are in the journey, and you get to improve, or like how you said, all the various reasons. But then your practical life, we do meet certain family members, friends, workplace, and even sometimes even our own spouse or kids. When we talk, you know that they don't have faith, and that's why they're telling, like let's say close friend, they're suffering, and you try to tell them, you know, be strong, we should have faith, and then they're like, no, I don't know how to take it, though right now I'm just praying, Krishna, help them, that's all. And then even small example, Srimad Bhagavatam in Prabhupada, one of the purport, he says, there's nothing like going someone to moon planet and all these scientists. I was talking to my daughter a few years ago, now she's big. I said, Ma, so you don't want me to believe science? I know she's scared, but then a lot of these practical situations that comes, and that now being in Krishna consciousness, how do we face these situations, or what should I tell my mind? I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing with the right thought.
Can you just say in one line, because I thought you were asking a certain question, and then it kind so what's your, just in...
Yeah, my question, see, faith is, yes, personal, where...
You have faith for yourself,
right.
But there are people around you who don't necessarily have that
and
faith.
you try to help them, because we want to tell them, but then sometimes they don't get it.
Okay, so
how should I take it?
How should you
or
take it?
Is it just praying for them is enough, or because...
Praying for them is great. Pray for me as well. We have to pray for each other. Yes, of course, praying for people is wonderful. We want them to find their spiritual essence. What can you do? You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Everyone has free will. Even Krishna doesn't force Arjuna. Because at the end he says, Iti te jnanamakyatam guyat guyataram maya vimreshe tadashe shena yat icha tatha guru. I'm giving you all the knowledge, you think about it, challenge it, introspect on it, reflect on it, see what you think about it, and then do what you want to do. Spirituality, Shraddha, means to put your heart into something. You can't put someone else's heart into something. They have to put their heart into it. But you can open up the opportunity for them. So give them the opportunity, open up the knowledge, be a great example, and then just be a non-judgmental friend and have no expectation. And eventually when they see how happy you are, they'll come back to you and be like, what makes you so happy? And then maybe they may start asking some question. Prabhupada, he actually said to Hari Sauri Prabhu, he said, preaching, he said, that's easy business. All you have to do is show people how happy you are. That was very nice. Because who's happy? Without Krishna, can't be happy. So it's all doomed, ultimately. But as long as we're there, non-judgmentally, to then give people that opportunity, then it will come different. Even us, sometimes I think, oh, I really want to help this person, why are they not taking it up? And then for a moment I just think, hang on. Who was I 20 years ago? If I had to preach to myself 20 years ago, I probably would have given up on myself. This guy is just not serious, he's never going to do anything. But no, the devotees were patient. So everyone has to go through whatever they have to go through. Everyone has their time. And as long as we're there, when they make that choice, then that'll be wonderful. Alright, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your kindness.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Wonderful, thought-provoking conversation about faith and doubts, and I'm sure that all of us have something to go with today, something to really think about. So Maharaj will be signing that we only have about 13 copies of one of the books that Maharaj has written, Tattva. And Maharaj, any idea when we and how we might be able to get your other books like Gita 3 and
Which other ones are in print? Maybe you can send over if enough devotees would like.
Send some more.
Okay. Perfect. But yeah, Maharaj can personally sign the book once you get it, but again, there's only 13 copies, so if I were you, I'd try to get those quick. I know in Central Jersey, I think we were in ISKCON Central New Jersey, and they all went out within an hour, basically, most of them, and this is all that's left. So, what we're going to do next is we're just going to have prasadam now. It's in the unfinished area of the basement, if you just take a left there. And also, please feel free to come up and see Maharaj as well if you would like to introduce yourself or ask a question or anything.
They're $15 each.
Oh, and they're $15 each. That's fine. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you very, very much for coming. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.